All right, ladies, for this release and replenish class, we're going to need some props. So a couple of either blankets or towels that you can roll up like so would be ideal. Having a bolster or a firm pillow or two. And then I always like to have a strap. You could use a scarf, something like that will do. So just have these things nearby. I really wanted to focus tonight on the vagus nerve, so creating vagal tone. The vagus nerve goes from our brain, it goes down through the neck, through the throat, down through the chest, through the heart, through all of the organs of the body, down into the uterus. And we want to create vagal tone in order to help us go into that rest and digest state. So when we're in that fight and flight and we're doing and we're doing and doing, and we're shallow breathing, we don't activate the vagus nerve. But when we start to slow our exhalation down, when we just calm everything down, and especially when we focus on not just breathing out, but breathing out with a little bit of low vibrational noise, that really helps us to tone the vagus nerve and to drop ourselves into that state where we can heal. Basically, we can digest food and we can heal the body. So I thought we'd start tonight in a nice restorative pose. So if you take one of your blankets and you want to put that one across where your bra strap is, and if you take the other one, we're going to pop this just underneath the neck. So you want a smaller roll to go underneath the neck, and have a bolster or a couple of your pillows. You can have both your legs, so your feet propped up as well if you've got enough props. And you just roll back. We want to lift and spread the rib cage. Now, sometimes we just put our head straight back, but if you can, support the curve of your neck as well. Chin is up, so you are tipping the crown of your head backwards, getting this big opening through the throat. You want to have your chest on about a 45-degree angle here. Rib cage flaring out to the side. Lots of space for your belly. Lots of space for your psoas muscles. So a little roll underneath the neck. A bigger roll right across the bra strap. So just right where your chest is as opposed to your lower back. And then something underneath your knees and your thighs just to let your legs drop out to the side. This subtly opens those psoas muscles. And then I'm going to get you just to take your hands either out to the side or maybe up a little bit further, whatever feels good on your shoulders. And then wriggle your jaw. Make a bit of noise as you wriggle your jaw. Give yourself 3 big yawning actions. So open your mouth wide. And then try putting your tongue just behind your teeth very lightly and allowing your breath just to become smooth. Focusing on softening your cheeks, allowing your jaw to become nice and relaxed. See if you can soften the little muscles around your eyes. And if you look just at your eyelids, you'll find that your eyeballs start to become heavier in sockets. And notice if there's any furrowing of the brow. So see if you can just smooth the brow. And when we soften the face consciously, what we find is that it's easier for the rest of the body to start melting. So focus on softening your face with every exhalation, making this face a little bit more relaxed, a little bit softer. And then taking your focus down to your ribs and see if you can breathe out sideways, like you're a fish and you're breathing into your gills, flaring the ribs out, and then just letting the breath go. So every bit of puff leaves the lungs. And then again, flaring the ribs out to the side, full deep breath in And then just let it go. You can create that little bit of an ocean-like sound to your breath, especially on the exhalation. It gives the mind this lovely soft noise to focus in on. Now I'm going to get you to start to imagine the breath is going up on the inhalation, almost like a paintbrush. And then as you exhale, it's flowing back down again. So you inhale, you can feel the breath going right up through to the crown of the head. And as you exhale, it's flowing back down. And you can imagine a wave on a beach coming up on the inhale and then pulling back out to the ocean on the exhalation. And I'm going to invite you to add a mantra to your pranayama, your breathing. So on the inhale, and then hum on the exhale. And just say this to yourself mentally. You don't need to say it out loud. It's so on the inhale and hum on the exhale. And it literally means I am kind of all that is. I am the universe. I am just so, and then hum. And the rhythm of this mantra and the sound of the mantra is like that ocean ebb and flow. So hum. So when we've been doing all the rushing and the doing, it can be quite hard to come straight into the simply lying. Our brain is often busy, the mind is chittering and chattering. So see if you can really focus on that exhalation, the hum. And every time you hum, imagine your muscles are softening a little bit more. Allow yourself to drape, to drain away rigidity, tension, any holding. Just imagine you are opening your hands slowly and just letting go. So hum. And we normally need to take about 10 breaths or more to allow the body to actually drop a little bit further into that state of softening, beginning the journey into unwinding. Beautiful. And then just start to massage your hands and your feet around. So staying in the same position at the moment, just massaging the ankles and the wrists. Start to breathe a little bit more deeply and see if you can imagine the base of your rib cage is flaring out on the inhale and then it's drawing back in again on the exhalation. One direction and then the other direction with your hands, allowing that movement to be fluid, unwinding. Good. I'm going to get you to take your fingertips just on your forehead and with a relatively firm hand, just slide your hands down towards your temples, doing a couple of almost painting, releasing, softening across the forehead. And then from the temples, drawing your hands down through the masseter muscles at the jaw and drawing all the way down to your chin. So from the temples and then down and then pulling the tension to your chin and out. You can do a little flick with your hands at the end. Just giving some taps onto the sides of your eyes, just where the temples are, a little bit higher, and into the head, like raindrops, tapping, tapping, tapping. Noticing where there are sore points. Beautiful. Take your feet up, slide the prop out from underneath your back, and then take the prop that's underneath your neck and just refold so you can place it underneath your head. So you've just got a little bit of height under the head. Beautiful. I'm going to get you to take your feet on your bolster like so, quite wide, and then take your hands up and just hold onto your elbows like this. And we're going to do the same thing, so hum. So I'm just going to get you to move your elbows slightly over to one side, and then back into the center, and then drop to the other side. So try that a couple of times, and drop. Coming into the center, so, and then dropping on hum. So, hum. And it's just in your mind. So, hum. So breathing in, breathing out. Once you got that rhythm, see if you can drop the knees slightly in the opposite direction. So coming out and then dropping over. So, hum. Wide feet, so this is a very subtle movement into the sartorius muscle, and we're getting a bit of a rinsing twist through the back, but just subtle at this stage. So, maybe dropping a little bit more as your back warms up. Think the ocean wave on that hum. So if you think that sighing out is nature's way of taking us into that vagus nerve activating, calming state, see if you can give yourself an exaggerated sigh. Beautiful. Come into the center. Bring your knees up towards your chest and just take some big circles so that we can massage into the lower back and also into those rotator muscles around the hip joints. So nice big lubricating circles. Keeping that breath flowing in and out. So that lovely slow flow up the beach, sucking release back to the ocean. One direction, other direction with that mobilization. Beautiful. Then pushing your feet up towards the ceiling a couple of times. So pressing the feet up so we straighten the legs, and then again pressing and pressing and pressing, and then leave the feet there and take the hands up and just massage the feet and the wrists, this time a little bit more firmly. So we're just getting right around, one direction, other direction. Beautiful. And then pointing the toes, you can point your wrists as well, and then pulling them back, and then pointing them, and then pulling them back. Okay, so warming up the calf muscles a bit here as well. And then leaving them up, and just start to shake your feet, and see if you can get that jiggle right down into your thighs. So you can get your thighs jiggling. And then once you've got your legs going, just jiggle your fists, loose wrists. See if you can get your chicken wings jiggling as well. So we want to jiggle, 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 jiggle. And then see if you get your jaw jiggling to the side as well. So breathe in deeply. And then just drop your legs down. Just notice how nice your body feels when you get that tingly sensation through the body. Letting the hands drop down onto your lower belly and see if you can breathe down here. So the pelvic floor feels the receiving of that inhalation. Sighing the breath out. Beautiful. Okay, so taking your feet back onto the bolster, arms out to the side, dropping the knees to one side. In fact, you know what, I'm going to shift the bolster over so the knees are supported. Looking over the other shoulder. So this is a propped twist. So it's not as deep as we normally go, but quite nice since we haven't done much warming up of the body, just to keep this quite subtle. Helps the digestion. Great for a little bit of adrenal care as well. Sighing that breath out. And then up and over to the other side. So just shift your prop over as well. Might move your bottom slightly over to one side of the mat, so knees drop over to the other side. And again, lovely, is great for the spleen. Fantastic for our digestion, gets into the intestines. You can feel this sort of movement here in the thoracic spine. So this is the area we want to keep mobile. See if you can close your eyes. Any moment you can close your eyes, do. As soon as you close your eyes, see if you can soften around the eyes. So you do this instant relaxation, releasing all the wrinkles, all the laughter lines. It just becomes very slack. We want to aim for slack faces in yoga. That moo face, the cow pose face. Relaxed. Beautiful. Tummy sits fine as you come back into the center. Now, I'm going to get you to shift your bolster to the side for a moment. We will use it again. Bring your right knee in towards your chest and see if you can slide your left leg out. We're going to the psoas muscle here. You might want to give your foot another little swirl. And then taking the left arm up and overhead. Now, imagine someone's got your toes and someone's got your fingers, and they're very, very slowly pulling them gently apart. And you want to start breathing consciously, almost from your hip up towards your armpit. And then see if you can drift. Oh, hang on, I'm going to get this blanket out of the way. It's in my way now. So drift your fingers over to the left side of the mat. So we start to get quite a deep stretch up the right side of the mat. So we get a stretch up the left side of the body. So slowly coming back. Take both knees up but apart and just rock from side to side. So we massage across the lower back, getting into the groin area here. Maybe make that a little bit more vigorous from side to side. So you involve the spine as well. So our bodies love a bit of rocking. Any opportunity to rock, take it. Okay, let's leave this left knee up and just slide that right leg away. See how that feels. You can always prop the leg if it's too tight on hip flexors. Just put something underneath that knee. And then sliding the right hand up above the head. Now you want to just make sure your shoulder's comfortable. And then you use your breath in order to stretch the muscle fibers to lengthen, taking toes and fingers away from each other a tiny bit more. Tiny bit more. And then you might find that you've gone far enough, but you want to drift slightly over into a lateral stretch over to the left side here. So you can hold the top of the breath and then release it all the way, and then take another deep full breath in. And then just release it. And slowly come back up again. Now grab your strap. So we want to use a strap or a belt. You can always just use your towel. Put your towel over your feet. First of all, take your right foot, lift your right foot first. Right foot into the strap, and you want to make sure it's over the ball of the foot, not the arch of the foot. Now, pump your leg a couple of times, and then leave it up, and we want to make sure the shoulders relax down to the ground, the elbows heavy, so not kind of pulling at all. Instead, what we're doing is running a line of energy down the back of the leg into the pelvis, and we're almost like we're pushing our femur, our thigh bone, down through the back of the pelvis and into the mat. It's that kind of suction sensation, pulling back in and back down through the mat. And then at the same time, pushing the heels slightly away from you. So I like to imagine like that ocean with flow imagery we've just started, flowing up the leg through to the heel, down the leg through the pelvis, breathing up to extend, exhaling down to release. So see if you can do that a couple of times. So it looks passive from the outside, but inside it's quite strong, quite animated. Good. Pull your toes back to you. See if you can spread your toes, pull them back. And then take your left knee up and out to the side again, and then drift your right leg out to the side. So now we are keeping the sacrum flat on the ground at the back of the pelvis. A nice opening through these inner thighs, these adductor muscles. Let's go ahead and just give this left foot a swirl, give it something to do. And again, using your breath to extend and soften. Good. Slowly bring your legs back up. Let's just see what happens if we extend that bottom leg as well. Just pausing there and have a little play with maybe taking the leg from near your eyes over to the side. So if you're here to the side, doesn't matter where you are, but just mobilizing it. Bend the knee as much as you want to. Just mobilize that ball and socket joint. And then I'm just going to go back to that full body stretch. Knee is bent up towards the armpit, bending the elbow down towards the ground, and just opening here. So we're getting the whole groin area to open. Beautiful. Let's bring it back. Take both feet in the strap for a moment and draw your feet in towards you so your knees drop out to the side, and just let yourself hang here in this cobbler pose, but on our backs. See what happens with your shoulders though. If they start to go, you're very conscious about going, no. I know your game, and just letting them drop down, down, down. We always want to create space between the ear and the shoulders, keeping the shoulders sitting back in the sockets. Okay, so let's have a go with the other leg. So we're pressing up a couple of times, pressing the heel away, drawing down through the back of the leg, pressing the heel away, down into that pelvis. Notice what's happening with your rib cage. So we want to draw the base of the rib cage slightly in now, so we're not flaring here. If you do find there's a bit of a flare going on, definitely take something underneath your head so that the base of the rib cage can come down. And you want to see if you can flatten the back of your pelvis down into the ground, pressing it back in order to get the stretch going right up here into the insertion point. And then let's go here. Take the right knee up. Slide the left leg away from you. Slide the right knee away from you, going into that big V shape. And focusing on the facial muscles and the jaw in particular, so that the bottom of your body, the bottom half of your body gets the cue It's okay to open, to release, to relax. And just assisting by really focusing on the exhalation. I find it can be really helpful to add a bit of buzzy bee breath. And it's like a hum. It's like the end of an om. So you just go, And I know humming doesn't turn out on Zoom, so you're just going to believe me that I hummed out then. So just notice how nice it feels to do a long, low vibrational exhalation. And you might sing it. You might just, ah. But a hum is good. Beautiful. And then drawing back up again. And then let's have a little play with this. So dropping the knee down, maybe sliding the leg out, having a stretch. Half baby pose with that left leg. Stretching whole body. If you're feeling very stretchy, go ahead, push the heel out a little bit, have a play with it. And then let's take both feet into the strap and then slide both feet as wide as they comfortably go with the balls of the feet down and the heels pushing away. Again, you want to make sure that you're not pulling yourself up. Try to let your elbows, if your strap's long enough, let your elbows drop down towards the ground. And then pressing out through those heels so we get that full V shape. And when you're ready, just dropping the knees down. So come into baby pose. You might need to shorten your strap a little bit. Now, the propensity is to tuck your tail and sort of stick your tail up towards the ceiling. So see if you can do the opposite. If we were standing, we'd be pushing our behinds behind us. You want to feel like you're pressing that triangle shape of the sacrum into your mat, opening the groin completely, and then letting those knees drop down, maybe a tiny bit more. Soften the shoulders very consciously. Soften the jaw. Remember, jaw and pelvic floor are fascially connected. So give it a wonderful. Feet together. I'm just going to drift those feet up a little bit, just getting both hamstrings lengthening here. Beautiful. And then taking the strap away and putting your feet on the ground and just taking a couple of slides up and down the spine. So pressing your heels into your mat in order to drive your pelvis up. Don't worry about coming too high, just about creating space between the vertebrae. And you want to try and have your toes going straight ahead, not drifting out to the side like so. So straight ahead if you can, or even slightly pigeon-toed, a little bit pigeon-toed. Up and down and up. Just slow this next one right down. So we slowly, one vertebra at a time. It's almost like we're picking a pearl necklace up off the ground. And then see if you can slide your shoulders towards each other underneath your body. And if you can easily interlace your hands, go ahead and do that. But otherwise, just palms down on the ground. And then pressing either hands and forearms or fists and forearms down into the ground. Keeping the chin drawn back and start to slide your knees away from you. Imagine your knees are trying to reach the wall opposite. And as you breathe, you're stretching the breath across your chest, pressing through the heels, so you're quite strong through the heels. And then take your arms away and take your shoulders away, and then very slowly place those pearls one at a time down onto the mat again. So it feels like you are pulling the vertebra very gently apart as you come down. And just try taking the feet together and the knees dropping out to the sides for a moment. Just breathing. Actually, while we're here, take your pinchy fingers, start at your chin. Actually, take the inside of your index finger, so not just your fingertips, but the inside of your index finger and your thumb, and pinch your chin. And then just kind of work the pinching up your jawline, pinch by pinch, up towards those masseter muscles, right up where your lower jaw intersects your upper jaw. And I can't really talk when I do this, so you're going to kind of squeeze the tension out of your jaw. If your legs feel not so great like that, just let your legs out like so. So just squeezing jaw, squeezing that tension out. And then bring your pinches back to the chin and change to little circles. So take your fingertips and just circle from your chin outwards, up the jaw towards those masseter muscles, and make the circles get a bit bigger here. And you want to imagine that with each circle, it can be quite strong, you are unwinding screws. So just feel that unwind, one more turn. And you can allow your breath to kind of encourage that unwinding. Sighing that exhalation out. Very good. And then just rolling over to one side. You don't need something to put underneath your head. So I'm going to put the blanket underneath my head. Nothing too high or too low. So it needs to be a bit higher than your arm, because we want our spine to be straight. So you don't want to be up here, but you don't want to be dropping down either. So you want your neck and your head to be straight. And then just bend your knees, put your bottom arm out, put your top fingers onto your forehead, and then just drop the elbow down. So we stretch across the upper back here. And close the eyes, and so you can just listen to my voice instructing here. So as we inhale, we take the elbow up towards the ceiling, and then we take it back behind us towards the ground behind us. Don't drop onto your back. So keep your with my left hip is on the ground. So keep my left hip on the ground. And then exhaling, the elbow comes back towards the bottom arm. You might need to open your eyes actually for the first few of these. Inhaling, elbow back. Holding the top of the inhalation for a beat, exhaling, elbow down to release. Now start to breathe in quite purposefully, and imagine your inhalation is infusing the front of your shoulder. So into these pectoral muscles that for so many of us get super tight when we're at the desk all day. So every time you come back, we're aiming to drop that elbow just a tiny bit further towards the ground, maybe even touching the ground. So deep full inhalation, holding just for a beat, exhaling. And creating a mindfulness practice out of this kriya, this movement. So making it slow and purposeful. Allowing the breath to infuse your movement. So this is wonderful for that thoracic mobility. So great for our heart health, keeping the arteries nice and flexible as we keep this part of the body moving, opening. Wonderful. So this time, leave your elbow behind you, leave it back there, and then turn your head to face the front. And using the weight of your arm, we get a deeper stretch into these pectoral muscles. If it feels okay on your arm, you might try unfurling the fingers behind you. This is quite a nervy stretch. And you want to pull right out through that middle finger so that we get, this is the lung 1 meridian, coming right down through the inner arm and into these pectoral muscles. And then just breathe with it. Breathing into the stretch. If it feels too much, please bend the elbow, bring the hand in. This is a pretty strong stretch. And then when you're ready, just take the hand down and then take a couple of big shoulder rolls up towards your ear and then back and down. So you can visualize that ball and socket joint and you're getting that full mobilization through the whole of the socket, up and back, up and back. Good. Okay, so I'm just going to get you to slowly either flip over to the other side. I'm going to turn around this side so I can still see you. And the same thing. So arm out, fingertips on the forehead, and then up and back. And just noticing, because I am going slower tonight than I often do, just noticing if you're going, oh, where's the moving stuff? Where's the flowing stuff? Where's the busiest stuff? And allow yourself, if that is the case, if there is this mental chitter-chatter, rushing and doing, just noticing that that is actually a wonderful invitation to sink into this slower, kind of luxurious movement, slowing things down purposefully so you can be in control, knowing that thoughts are literally electrical impulses in the brain, and we can choose which thoughts to think and which thoughts to let go and just allow them to float away like clouds in the sky. Breathing in deeply, infusing muscle fibers with your breath. So we'll hold this one. So inhaling deeply, hold the elbow back. Keep breathing though. Exhaling, turn the head. Just noticing how that feels on this shoulder. So quite often one side will be tighter than the other. See if unfurling the fingers behind you feels okay. That's it. And then slowly taking that hand down and again just rolling, rolling, and rolling. And then sliding onto your tummy for a moment. Toes in, heels out, hands stacking one on top of the other, forehead on the hands. And then rocking the pelvis from side to side. And your sole job here is to make your belly as relaxed as you possibly can. And just keep the toes in and the heels out. And just feel what it's like to jiggle your bum and get that nice massage across your lower back. See if you can sigh the breath out, make a bit of noise. So this is all about regulating the central nervous system, activating that vagus nerve, calming the adrenals, helping ourselves to produce the precursor to progesterone and estrogen instead of all of that cortisol, all of that adrenaline. Good. All right, just allow yourself to settle. Now, it's very relaxing on the system to open the quads, and especially when we're on our tummies. So the forehead rests on the right hand, left shoulder slides up and back a couple of times, and then bend the left knee and see if you can grab the ankle. Now, if the ankle's too far away, use your strap around the ankle. Don't grab your toes because it just stretches into the knee rather than the the quads and the hip flexors, which is where we want to go tonight. So grab the ankle however you're going to grab it. It doesn't matter if the knees come apart of it, that's absolutely fine. And then again, we're going to use that long, low vibrational sound in order to deepen into the stretch. So on an exhalation, you start to push your pubic bone into the ground. You spread your bikini line into the ground, yeah, sort of open up, quite a strong stretch, and assisting that stretch with a sort of a hum or a some kind of long, low vibrational sound. So whatever you pick. As you breathe in, you can just kind of release the pressure down a little bit. And then as you exhale, try not to squeeze your bum. Instead of it's a pressing the whole pelvis down into the mat. And then just moving the ankle from one side to the other, very slowly, finding where you need that stretch. So I'm going a bit fast here, but just sort of do it slowly, rolling ankle towards your bottom and then slightly out. Beautiful. Let that leg go and just tap the foot a couple of times. And then up and back with that right shoulder, sliding it down into the bottom of the socket to grab the right ankle. Same thing. Bit of noise, please, ladies. Gently pressing the pubic bone down and noticing which side is tighter. So I'm just noticing that tonight this side is a lot tighter on me than the other side. Normally it's the other way around. So that's interesting. And then start to rainbow the ankle. One side and then the other. Beautiful, dropping down. Hands just in by your shoulders, not too far forward, so quite far back, elbows squeezing in. So it's like you're a cricket. You pull your elbows right in. Feet relatively wide on your mat, tops of the feet pressing into the mat, knees sucking up a little bit off the mat, and then using that nice deep inhalation just to get a little bit of back activation and bring us into some fluid cobras, kind of lifting up gently, flowing back down. Please don't go too high tonight. I just want you to get a bit of activation in the extensor muscles of the back. It can just help if you've been hunched over a keyboard all day to get these back muscles to operate. And this time, breathe in and then slide your forearms forward and come into Sphinx pose. So we kind of push the mat down and then pull our forearms backwards in order for the chest to go forward. And quite a nice variation on this is to use a prop. So it could be something relatively small under the ribs, just like a blanket. If you're a bit more bendy in the back, it can be quite nice to take your bolster and then take the forearms onto the other side of the bolster. And then you just kind of relax. So here, you just rest. So you don't have to do any pushing with your forearms, you're just resting here. And then draw the chin slightly back. And it's a nice position to really focus on the lower lobes of the back of our lungs. So this is where we have most of our lung capacity. And it's a bit easier to focus down there and see if you can kind of spread your back out. I like to imagine I have wings, and as I inhale, those wings are flaring up towards the ceiling, and then as I exhale, they're retracting back in again. Beautiful. Take your arms onto your prop, whatever you've got, and just bring yourself up onto all fours. Spin your bolster or your pillows around now so that we can get into child pose. If you need to put a folded blanket or an extra pillow underneath your bottom so that your bottom's not hanging in space, please do that. Nice wide knees, and then you just kind of fold yourself down. And unfortunately, you do need to turn your head to one side. So it means you need to turn your head to the other side, or you'll get a crick in your neck. And just allow yourself to feel like you're hugging the bolster. So you're just kind of draping yourself over it. Like I said, really important to not have your bottom hanging in space. So make sure you are propped enough so that your behind can just soften into something as your chest is softening into your bolster. Again, taking your mind's eye into those lower parts of your lungs at the back of the body. Layering your wings, your gossamer wings, like a fairy, on the inhalation, and as you exhale, they just fold back in. And just making sure you turn to the other side for a few breaths. Beautiful. And coming up, and just turn your bolster again. Come onto your forearms, and nice to drop your forearms onto your pillow, onto your bolster. Take your knees back a little bit and start to swirl your pelvis. So I like to imagine I've got this big tail. I always say it's like a snow leopard tail. So you imagine what your tail is like, and it's going to be fabulous. And you need to show it off. So you want to be doing these big circles with this tail, showing it off behind you, swirling it around. And then allow that swirling action to go up from the pelvis towards your ribs and start to swirl your tummy around, your ribs around, and then allow that movement to come into your shoulders as well. So you get this kind of full body circling, swirling, juicing action. Wonderful. Swirling it around. If you want to take it in the other direction, do. I'm just going to go straight on into the whole body circling here. Beautiful. And then come up onto hands. You can stay onto forearms. You don't need to come onto hands. And then knees together. I'm just going to drop knees from side to side. Actually, let's do forearms better. And we're going now into this IT band on the side of the body here. So just draping. If you prefer without the bolster, take the bolster away. So this is totally up to you. Oh. And then try taking your bottom up and then back so that your right sitting bone is heading down towards about 5 o'clock on the clock face, 4 or 5 o'clock. And then just try taking your left hand and stretching it out. So it's about 11 o'clock on the clock face. So stretching, draping, lengthening across the back of the body. And then horseshoe your bottom. So now your left sitting bone is heading over to, what's that, 7 o'clock? And right finger's reaching to about 2 o'clock. Try doing thumb up, little finger down. This just rolls the shoulder away from your ears a bit more. You'll feel that kind of stretch right underneath your armpit into the side of your shoulder. Good, and then take that pelvis right up and around so that you're circling your tummy. If there was a pencil coming out of your tummy, you'd be circling onto the mat, making big circles. Again, on your hands or on your forearms, doesn't matter. Whatever feels comfortable, just rinsing out these pelvises of ours, big circles. So I always, when I'm circling this way around, get a little click in my left knee. It always happens. So it's a familiar click as the air just kind of pushes out of the knee joint. So whenever you hear those clicking sounds, it's only the air popping out. Good, and then nice wide knees. I'm just going to pull this bolster closer. Same thing, kind of draping chest across, this time above the boot, so on your chest, draping your chest down, and then knees wide and just kind of sinking down. And you want to see if you can keep your sitting bones high, knees as wide as you can comfortably go. So don't overstretch here. And you just take your forehead onto something. So I stack my fists like so. Forehead resting on fists. If you wanted to take another bolster, you could do that. So just resting. And imagine you're like an ice cream in the sunshine. You're just kind of melting down towards your mat. Sighing the breath out. Good. Come to your forearms and slide your knees back together again. Let's move this bolster out of the way for a moment. Knees back together. Actually, before we do cat and cow, just drop the hips from side to side again with your knees close. Since we opened up quite strongly into those adductors, we just drop into the abductors. And then knees are parallel underneath the hips. Fingers are nice and wide. Give them a shake. Tucking your toes. I'm going to keep my socks on because it's cold, but maybe take socks off if you slip on your mat. And then we'll just go through cat and cow for a moment. So lifting your tail and then tucking your tail. Just focusing on that fabulous big snow leopard tail, whatever your tail is, horse tail or big bushy dog tail, whatever you got, lifting it and then tucking it. And then once you've got the movement through the pelvis, let it ripple right up through to the crown of your head. Caveat here though, if you are hypermobile and when you come into cow, you really dip, you can feel a crunch here. Don't do that. Just come neutral spine and then into angry cat. And neutral spine and then angry cat, missing out this bit. But if it feels nice and you don't have that issue, then go ahead. Blowing like a ribbon up your spine, one direction and then the other direction. Noticing how the breath is pulled into the lungs as you lift, and then it's pressed out of the lungs as you roll into this cat arch. And next time you take your tail up, leave it there. Make sure your toes are tucked. And then feel like somebody's got your tail and they're pulling it back and up. Keep the knees bent. Keep the balls of the feet on the mat, but the heels up. Keep drawing your tail back and up. Rearrange your shoulders. So draw the shoulders away from your ears so the armpits are facing the ground. I like to imagine there are plates under the hands. You're pushing down and out with your hands, nice wide hands, slightly out, as if you're spinning these plates in order to get external rotation through your shoulders. And once you're here, then start to press the heels down one at a time. Give your head a shake Loosen the jawbone. This is all about getting you ready for a good sleep. So I want to extend that exhalation. Walk your feet forward, toes in, heels out. So like a pigeon, really pigeon those toes, folding tummy down onto thighs, bending knees here, holding onto your forearms, and then just rocking from side to side. Like I said, we just love a rock, like a little pendulum just draping from one side to the other. So hum, so hum, so hum, so hum. It's like that. And from here, roll the shoulders back. Now either hands on hips and elbows up, or interlace the hands and then take the hands up and over, like a waterfall, pouring tension out of shoulders, through the head, into Mother Earth. Allow her to open up and just take it all. Receive all of the stuff. Let it go. Ooh. You might need to draw the shoulder girdle up away from your ears so you don't constrict around your neck. Good. Long, full exhalation. Sliding down again, dropping to your knees. Before we come down onto the ground, I'm going to get you just to release your shoulders a little bit more. So just take yourself into a seated position. Arms out, and then crossing the body with one straight arm. Lock it into place with the other arm below the elbow. So straight arm, bent arm. Keep the shoulders right down away from your ears. And then gently pull away with the straight arm and gently pull in with the bent arm. And then just take the head very slightly over towards these fingers. Breathe in, sighing out. Remember, the softer we get our face to be, the more relaxed our shoulders and hips and legs, everything else will be. And then opening the heart center, stretching fingertips out, and then just crossing the other arm, locking into place. Gently, gently drawing out, and then maybe tilting over to the side if that feels nice. You might need to just move your head very subtly. Good. And then flowing from side to side like an ocean wave, just drifting. Or imagine you are seaweed drifting in the sea. Beautiful. That's the way. Head and shoulders roll around. One last unwinding twist in each direction. You kind of start with the head, but the shoulders join in pretty swiftly. The shoulders always want to join in. So on this occasion, we're like, go ahead, roll around, do your thing. Okay, so now, Supta Baddha Konasana. So come and get all your pillows and your blankets, your props. You're going to build yourself a nice little nest. So you've got a couple of options here as well, depending on how many props you've got. So ideally, we have at least one long pillow, or just a firm pillow would do. And you can use your brick. You could use the squab off the sofa. Something else underneath this pillow so that it's on a bit of a slope. I'm going to give you an alternative if you don't have enough of these things. And I always like to have an extra blanket just under the head so that the chin is drawn in. You're not doing any of this poking. So something here. And then if you've got lots of pillows, go ahead and lift your feet as well. But if you don't, it doesn't matter. Just have something underneath your knees. On a blanket, maybe an eye bag, or just even using I was going to say a sock, but maybe not a sock, just something over your eyes. And you take your pelvis to the edge and you roll yourself back. And what we're aiming for here is to have the chest open. So these pectoral muscles give, you can see it just a natural opening as the arms drop away. The belly's nice and relaxed. So this can be fantastic for our digestion. It gently activates the adrenals. So it just calms them. It helps balance us. Really great for our hormones. It opens subtly the psoas muscles here. So knees are dropping out to the side. So see if you can get yourself comfortable. If this doesn't work for you, and if it doesn't, then that's absolutely fine. And it does mean a bit of adjusting to find the right slope that feels nice. Then just lie on your back and see if you can lift your legs. So you're in a gentle inversion instead. And this is also a really nice way just to flop. So either legs lifted or your torso lifted, one or the other. Get yourself into a nice restorative pose. Make sure you're warm. Take a bit of time. Oh, you're looking nice and cozy there, Helen, with your blanket. Excellent. Oh, and you got your eye mask, fabulous. That's the way. So get yourself warm and comfortable. And once you're there, take 3 changing breaths. And as you do that, so it's an inhalation and then a sigh out. And as you're doing your changing breaths, also do any final adjustments. Moving clothing, blankets, whatever, in order to become really super comfortable. And then just become aware, really exquisitely aware of your body. So the trillions and trillions of cells that are all squashed together and make up this physical body of yours. And take your mind's eye down into the tips of your toes, and then just run the mind's eye up through the body to the very top of your head, the very crown of your head. And then wash the mind's eye back down again, almost like a laser, an MRI scan going up and down the body, just flowing the mind's eye. And it's quite nice to synchronize the breath. And as you're doing this, allowing those little muscles around your eyes to soften again. Really release them. Every time you exhale, see if you can release them even more. And then consciously look at the back of your eyelids. And as you do that, notice how much more you can relax the muscles around the sockets, especially those muscles between the brows, on the sides of the eyes. Notice how heavy you can allow your eyeballs to feel resting in the sockets. And now allow your cheeks to soften. So just imagine that you're having a facial and your fingers are just sliding down the cheeks, encouraging them to soften, encouraging the muscles around the jaw to soften. And unwinding those screws so that the jaw becomes slack and the tongue becomes heavier, heavier in the mouth. And allowing that sense of relaxation to flow down through your neck, down through the neck and into the chest. And allow your shoulders now to sink, to melt into the ground. And allow that sinking, melting, softening sensation to roll down through the torso and into your belly. So the belly feels relaxed and open, and the breath is unrestricted, Just flowing, belly rising up and down. Feeling now down into the pelvis and the legs. The heaviness now as the legs relax so much that the feet drop out just a little bit more. Whole body surrendering into relaxation. Whole body relaxed. Whole body deeply relaxed. And when we are in this relaxed state, we can recognize that whatever tension or mental hurrying we have, that this is actually a signal to pause, a signal to breathe deeply and to release our grip on worries. And as you hear these words, feel your whole relaxed body. Be aware of the position of your body. And imagine that like a twig that is drifting in a river, that you are drifting to the ocean of tranquility. Mind meandering. If it got snagged on worries like an eddy in a babbling brook, you can see the river flowing on and feel it freeing this twig so that you can flow with the river, flowing on and on. Breathing happens for you from the moment you are born until the moment you die. It happens for you. Life breathes you and you come along for the ride and you can enjoy it. Here, in the present moment, you can release the worries that tug you into the future or pull you back into the past. You can feel your breathing reminding you that you are alive, here and now. Your senses bring you an awareness of the miracle of being alive, here and now. Allowing the river of life to take you, knowing that you are safe. Whichever way the river flows, you'll be okay. With each breath, imagine that you are breathing in peace, tranquility, feeling it nourishing that space of peace inside of you, that pilot light. And with each exhalation, just imagine you are opening your hand, releasing tension, attachment, even suffering, just letting go and going back to the flow of the river, the ocean, and the breath, in and out, up and down, always flowing from the opposite, stemming from opposites. Whilst you keep this global awareness of the whole of your body, now taking your attention to the very tip of your nostrils. Start to notice the coolness of the inhalation. Start to slightly deepen the inhalation. Start to feel that wish to become active, gently active. Slightly deepening that breath even more. Breathing in deeply to start to invigorate from the inside out, feeling that breath flowing through limbs to fingers and toes, up into the brain. And very gently starting to wriggle fingers and toes, and very gently moving the head from side to side. Being aware of the water content of this body of yours. So fluid. And so allowing that movement to become just a little bit bigger, flowing slowly with knees bent over to one side. Making your movements very fluid, very slow, transitional. And from the fetal position, when you're ready, you push the floor away with your hands and just very slowly, fluidly come and sit in a position where your spine is long and the little muscles around your spine that need to be activated are activated. But everything else feels relaxed. And you find that sweet spot where the head just sits perfectly on top of the neck. There's no holding. Just noticing how relaxed you've made the muscles around the eyes and the cheeks and the jaw. How soft your shoulders can sit, almost like there's a coat hanger and your body's just kind of draping off the coat hanger. And taking your hands into your heart center, so the palms press together and the thumbs press into your chest. Repeating so hum to yourself mentally. So on the inhale, hum on the exhalation. In its very nature, so hum is meant to sound like the inhale and the exhale of the breath, or like the ocean flowing up and down the beach. And it literally means I am that. So hum. I am that. Mentally thanking yourself for coming and practicing tonight, gifting yourself this time to slow down, to unwind. The love and light of me bows to the love and the light in you. Thank you so much. Namaste.